What's going on, everyone? Welcome in. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday to everyone out there. What a day on Tuesday. Just absolute domination of the sports books, hitting plus 200s, plus 270s like it's nothing. Max Struess, legendary game. Cavs, we'll talk about that. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with the Cavs, but the betting was good. Max Struess, great. Nas Reed, great. Nathan, what's up? Ryan, what's up? A great betting day. Vlad Jr., I mean, he cashed his hits, runs, RBIs first inning, single in a run. Just get that out of the way in the first inning. Love to see that. And yeah, I told you guys yesterday, I kind of wish we would have went back to the Donovan Mitchell well too. The odds were so much worse. I would not have laddered to 45, but I probably should have did 30, 35, 40. But oh well. I mean, we had a great day. Overall, a favorite has not won in round 2 of the NBA playoffs yet. What is going on? The Cavs, 2 losses as big favorites. Even without those guys last night, they still were, they closed as like 6-point favorites. The Celtics lost, the Thunder lost, and the Minnesota Timberwolves were 6.5-point favorites at home and lost in game 1. I don't know what is going on. Are you taking all this from one unit? I typically bet for one unit unless I either state otherwise. Like a home run, I would never play for one unit. That's more of like a quarter unit. But if it's plus money, it's one unit. If it's like minus 130, it's to win one unit is typically how I bet personally. But yeah, so the NBA playoffs are just completely on crack. No favorites have won. And then tonight, yeah, Minnesota could not buy a basket. That'll definitely change, Guru. And I mean, Steph Curry is not going to play tomorrow. So, I mean, Minnesota is going to win tomorrow night. It's going to be 1-1 going back to Golden State. Whether or not Curry can get back on the floor, I don't know. It's very unfortunate that he gets hurt. Yeah, just sucks. But yeah, Minnesota couldn't buy one. That will definitely correct. And, the Warriors aren't going to have Curry tomorrow anyways. So it probably won't matter. Tonight, I told you guys yesterday there's a big trend of teams that are at home in round 2 that lose game 1 as big favorites, and they always win game 2. That changed last night with the Cavs, but the Cavs are missing, Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are legitimate, all-star level key players for them. I mean, Evan Mobley's Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to be an all-NBA team member. So these are significant losses that they've suffered. And then DeAndre Hunter, I think the average Cavs fan, especially because he newly joined the team, doesn't fully understand how big of a loss DeAndre Hunter is. But Isaac Okoro is essentially unplayable in my eyes in the playoffs. He's a complete zero on offense. You don't even have to account for him offensively. So it's really, really hard for him to be on the court, regardless of how good he is defensively. He's so bad offensively, he really can't be on the court. And having DeAndre Hunter means you don't have to give Isaac Okoro those minutes. So those are 3 significant losses. I'm not really, bailing on the trend just because the Cavs lost last night when, they were missing those 3 key players. I do think Boston wins and wins big tonight. I do think Oklahoma City wins and wins big tonight. And I think we see that trend kind of stick. So I don't know if I'm going to play these. Just hilarious. New York, 75% of the bets. Just hilarious. I'll probably bet Boston minus 10.5 because I love pain. OKC. I mean, it's just so funny how the public reacts. I mean, both teams win. Like Celtics and Thunder lose as big favorites in game 1, and now we're just getting like 80 and 75% bets on the dog, like on the public dogs in these next spots. Just hilarious. I don't know. I'll probably bet both just for fun, but I do think both these teams win big tonight and get back on track. Who can't come back if they go down 0-2? That's a good question, Guru. I don't know if the Cavs can come back at this point. I mean, I was pretty dead set on them winning that game yesterday. I didn't think all 3 players would be out. I thought maybe 1 or 2. But, I mean, we were on stream yesterday when that line got pulled and moved down a little bit. I was like, maybe all 3 are gonna miss. I don't know. It ended up working out for us because we got great CLV on those Max Strus plays, and, he hit pretty easily. We should have did 20 plus too. I don't know why I stopped at 15. Should have did 20 plus points too. So I don't know if the Cavs can come back and win this series. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Minnesota down 0-2 with a banged up Curry could come back and win. I think Oklahoma City could come back and win, no problem. I think Boston could come back and win, no problem. So it might be the Cavs for my pick for that. I don't know. Curious if they have props up for this game. They do. Let's take a look here. Mitchell -2. Never forget, we got 25 plus points for Donovan Mitchell in game 1 at -155. Plus 100 for 30. I mean, they even have them up for 50. 30-1 for 50. All right. Yeah, very interesting start to this round 2 of the NBA playoffs. So today we're going to talk, we'll talk about these games tonight. Steve's going to come on at around 11:30, and we'll talk NHL playoffs with him. I'd love to get his thoughts on some stuff. Obviously, we talked NHL with him last week, so curious to get his thoughts on some of these NHL series. And then he has a pretty cool picture Dataspace that he made that we're going to discuss as well. So we'll talk NBA and MLB until he gets here. Then we'll talk a little NHL playoffs and look at that Dataspace. As far as tonight goes, though, I really like Boston in this game. I like Boston. So this is a parlay I think I'm going to make. So we're going to look at – in game 1, I played Celtics first quarter money line, Oklahoma City Thunder money line, and it was like -127 or something. Obviously, it lost because Oklahoma City choked. But I want to go back to that well tonight. I think you can take Boston. I wouldn't play this at -130. This was like -112 earlier, so I wouldn't play this at -130, but I like Boston first quarter again. So they have on FanDuel first quarter alt spread. Celtics -1.5 for the first quarter. If you pair that up with just OKC money line to win the game, -121 odds. So that's something that I'm probably going to play, to be honest with you. And then probably play Boston just minus the 10.5. I do think they roll. I think Tatum should bounce back after that second half. I mean, he came out on fire last game and then just hit a wall and did nothing in the second half. If we look at his game log versus the Knicks, let me pull it up here. So we'll look at the last few years here. Obviously, the game that just happened in which he scored, this is regular season, April 8th. He scored 32 points against them. On February 23rd, he scored 25 against them. On February 8th, he scored 40 against them. If we go back to October, 37. Like if we look at his last 4 games of the regular season he's played against them, he's gone for 25 or more and 30 or more in 3 of those 4. So really, really good kind of history against this Knicks team scoring. I can't believe he didn't score. I think he finished with 24 after he had just a ton in the first half. So I think going back to the well with Tatum is interesting. The problem is his line is so high here. I probably would play him. Yeah, I guess over 27.5, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's a high number, but I feel pretty strong about him bouncing back after that second half. So I do like Tatum, even though I don't typically bet points that are this high of a prop. We've done it with Mitchell a few times in the past 2 years. I really don't do it other than that, but I do like Jason Tatum to bounce back tonight. Also like Derek White feels like a good play here. Kristaps Porzingis screwed us. I liked him in game one. He was apparently sick. He only played 13 minutes and never came back in because he was sick. So I don't really know what to make of that. Maybe he bounces back, has a better game. But I do think Jason Tatum will shoot better tonight. So I'm interested in that. On the in the late game, I've kind of gone back and forth on this. I'm a little bit interested in I'm honestly like a little bit interested in Westbrook stuff. I've kind of been waiting to sell Westbrook, and he just continues to do it. I don't really have an explanation. He's been shooting well from 3. Like, they've been playing well in his minutes on the floor. It's actually pretty crazy. So, I don't know. I think we could look at maybe some Westbrook props tonight, even though I think OKC is gonna roll. He had 16 rebounds in game 1. Yeah, Jason he did have, 16 boards. If we look at those 4 games where he scored a bunch, 7, 10, 6, 4, the rebound totals against the Knicks. What's his, like, rebounds line, I guess? I guess we could look at maybe Tatum double-double, be a little bit interesting. He's at 9.5. Let me check rebound chances. Let's take a look here. Playoffs per game. Advanced. Yeah, we'll just okay. Oh, here we go. Conference semifinals. Rebound chances. He had 16 rebounds and 17 rebound chances. So that seems like 94%. Like, that seems like a little too high. I don't think he'll get as many rebounds tonight if that's the case. For reference, like Jokic, 31 rebound chances, Gobert 25, Gordon 22, Towns 21, Josh Hart 20. Derek White had more rebound chances than Jason Tatum. Derek White had 19 in that game. Let's take a look here. Derek White had 19. He finished with 11 rebounds. And in the Nuggets Thunder game, Gordon finished with 14 rebounds. I mean, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Let's go all playoffs for this season, and let's look at that because I'm a little bit interested in Derek White if this is the case, but I want to see if that was a one-off instance because like they shot so bad, like there was so many rebound chances. Let me see. Let's do Boston Celtics. Yeah, he only has 10 for the entire playoffs. Derek White has 10 rebound chances per game. But then he had 19 in that first game. So that might have been a little bit of an anomaly with how bad they were shooting. So I probably skipped that. Interested in the Nuggets, though. Let's take a look. Jokic, am I like... I don't know. Jokic is not listed. Oh, wait, here he is. 22 per game for Jokic. Gordon at 13. Okay. And then let's check Josh Hart as well. Josh Hart at 19. What about White rebounds plus assist? Yeah, I'll check. We'll check potential assists, and we'll do advanced filters, all playoff rounds, Celtics. So for the playoffs, Derek White is averaging 5.5 potential assists per game. not super high, to be honest. I don't really like seeing that. But if we do that, just that game against the Knicks, he was at, yeah, even lower. So I'd probably skip that for Derek White. I'm interested in Josh Hart though. Maybe a double double. Josh Hart plus 180 double double is a little interesting to me. His rebound prop was at 9.5. It was juiced to the under, but I think the chances are obviously there. And we've seen, I mean, if we just look at Josh Hart like in the playoffs the last year, I mean, if we go back, we'll go back to 2024. If we just look at just the rebounds for him, 13. So this is 2024 against Indiana. 13, 15, 18, 3, 11, 8, 8. If we go back to that series against Philly, which was 2024, 13, 15, 6, 17, 9, 14. So again, just really, really high across the board rebounding numbers. Points wise, yeah, he could struggle scoring, but I feel like I feel pretty confident in him getting 10 points. I don't know what his points prop is. Yeah, 11.5. I don't know. Josh Hart double-double, interesting to me. Holiday plus Russ, 15 plus points. I'm running that too. Like, don't hate that at all, Nathan. That sounds pretty good to me. I wanted to check Aaron Gordon rebound prop. It's probably pretty high. Only 6.5. I'm interested in that. I might play that over all playoff rounds. So for all their playoff games thus far, Aaron Gordon's averaging 13 rebound chances per game. Obviously, that went up against OKC. Another team that shot pretty bad, but overall, I think I like the over 6.5 there. So I'm going to play that over Josh Hart. Aaron Gordon over 6.5 rebounds looks good. Aaron Gordon double doubles plus 440. That's interesting, but probably just stick with the rebounds. Definitely like that. I can see myself playing that. It's pretty square, but I mean, Shea is minus 225 for 30 points. That's insane. I'm not playing that. I'll probably take that out. I like Celtics minus 10.5. I like Aaron Gordon over 6.5 boards. And I think you could probably, I mean, it's tough to compete against Jokic, but so it's tough for me to want to, ladder Gordon rebounds when Jokic is going to get 15 by himself too. So I'd probably just stick with him to get 7. But I don't know. What's his points plus rebounds line? 23.5. It feels a little high to me too. Yeah, I'd probably skip it and just play the 6.5 boards. Oh, I do want to play this, which is I got this at minus. I think I got this at minus 110, or I got this at minus 115 for 110.5, I think. But let me double check. Yeah, 110.5. So I think there's better line on DraftKings for this right now. Celtics team total over 110.5 at minus 115. I like that. So I like Celtics team total over, Celtics minus 10.5, Aaron Gordon 6.5 boards. Honestly, for a parlay, Nathan, I might do Derek White 15 points. And Derek White and Russ is plus 335. Derek White and Jamal Murray is minus 106. I'm gonna think about that. I kind of like Derek White, 15 plus. With Russ, that would be a little interesting to me. OG33s is plus money. Yeah, I don't hate that. I want to kind of see how this. I don't know. I kind of want to see how the Celtics game goes a little bit. There's a chance if the there's a range of outcomes where if the Celtics do roll, like the Knicks have a really, really bad offensive game. That's in the cards. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. It's just if the game goes that way, that could happen. Because if the Celtics are firing on all cylinders and they're hitting threes, like if they have an outlier bounce back shooting performance, they shoot like 50% points. And it could be like starters rest in the fourth. And I don't like to ever predict that. It's not a predictable stat, but I feel like that's in the range of outcomes tonight. As far as baseball goes, I've not looked at baseball a ton yet today. So we'll see on that later on. Just glancing at stuff and from what I looked at earlier. Anything sticking out? Interesting. Kikuchi going against his former team. Has he ever pitched against them? Kind of interested in this. Let's see. Kikuchi versus the Blue Jays. Yeah, he does have 80 plate appearances against them. Santander 5 for 19 with a home run. Vlad Jr.'s is 2 for 5. It's really small sample size stuff. I still can't figure him out. 4.98 expected ERA this year. His strikeouts are way down. So the past 2 years, we saw 26, 28% strikeouts from Kikuchi. This year's down to 20%. Fastball still his most used pitch. He's giving up a 348 batting average with it, 275 expected. Last year, he allowed a 252 expected batting average to fastball. So the fastball's been pretty bad for him, which I'm sure is affecting things. Interesting. Do you like Dallas trade? Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about that George Pickens trade. Yeah, so look, I'm far from a Steelers fan, but the time has come to where I'll call the Steelers out, and I have no problem with it. And if you're a Steelers fan and you're in the chat, or you're one of these Steelers fans that are living off the glory days, it's time to come to the realization, come to the conclusion, whatever you want to say. It's time to be real with yourself. The Steelers are not good anymore. They're just a has-been franchise. I don't know why. I really can't put my finger on it, but it's just the fact. The facts are the facts. The Steelers are just not good anymore. They haven't won a playoff game in 10 years. They can never find a quarterback now. I don't know. They've been on this perpetual search for a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger, and Ben Roethlisberger wasn't even good his last 3 years that he played. So they haven't had a quarterback in literally 10 years. They haven't won a playoff game in 10 years. They employ Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator for reasons that none of us know. They also continue to think that they are smarter than every other team. They're very good at drafting receivers. I think their track record speaks for itself. I'm not saying they're not good at identifying wide receiver talent. They very clearly are good at that. But it comes a time where time after time again, the Steelers draft these players that are very volatile and are going to have issues. It was very evident that George Pickens is a volatile player if you watched him at Georgia. And the Steelers draft these guys, and think that they're smarter than everyone and they can like fix them. And then it ends up the Steelers trade them. We've seen this time and time again. So I don't really know what's up with the Steelers, but they're just not good anymore. They haven't won a playoff game in 10 years. I don't think that's going to change this year. Even if they get Aaron Rodgers, what was the Steelers' plan here? They have DK Metcalf, who in my opinion is declining, a big body receiver that's getting older. I don't understand that. So, but DK Metcalf's good right now. So they have DK Metcalf. They don't have anyone else. Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson. I liked Roman Wilson coming out of Michigan. I was high on Roman Wilson, but he gave you a flat 0 in his rookie year. So I don't really know how you could have any sort of expectations or confidence in him as a wide receiver 2 or 3. So I don't really know what's up with the Steelers. I thought, and look, the Cowboys are not innocent in this either, Guru. The Cowboys also think they're smarter than everyone else. They like to take on these reclamation projects of these guys with off the field issues and on the field issues and think that they can fix them. And the Cowboys are another team that just haven't won anything in the Cowboys haven't won anything in like my entire life. At least the Steelers won a Super Bowl, while I was breathing on this earth. So I thought that was an interesting trade. For real life football, for fantasy football, I think it's great for Dak Prescott. I think George Pickens fits well with Dak Prescott in terms of what he does on the field. And most importantly, I think this helps out CeeDee Lamb a ton, because if you look at last year, Dallas is relying on, Brandon Cooks and Kevontae Turpin and stuff. Like having an actual wide receiver 2 next to CeeDee Lamb, and a wide receiver 2 that plays specifically outside and stretches the field, gets down the field, and will allow CeeDee Lamb to really lock into that slot receiver role and operate. I think it's great for fantasy football for Dak and CeeDee Lamb specifically. That was a long-winded answer to your question, Guru. I'm sorry, but I'm sick of the Steelers, and I'm sick of the Steelers fans that think they're relevant in like NFL conversations. They're just not. I don't know. They're just a middle of the pack team, and they have been for multiple years, and they will continue to be so. How do you choose between total bases and HRR? So typically, if it's like minus 130 or below, I would bet hits, runs, RBIs. It's just safer. You don't really have to rely on multiple hits or like a double or a home run. So that's how I would play it, but you obviously get better odds with the total base plays. Since it's kind of like personal preference, but unless I feel super strong with, a home run, I would lean towards the hits, runs, RBIs personally. I think Steve is here. Let me add him in. Oh, we have a dog. I don't know if Steve can hear us, but he's
just going on mute because the dog's going crazy.
Maybe the dog agreed with me. I just went on a huge rant about the Pittsburgh Steelers not being relevant in the NFL anymore. So maybe your dog agrees with me.
He's barking back.
Maybe he's a Steelers fan. Did you get this? Is this like a purebred dog from Pennsylvania? Maybe he's offended.
Yeah. He bleeds gold and black.
Yeah, maybe he's mad. So wait, Guru asked, are they paying Pickett before Parsons? I'm assuming you meant Pickens, and it was probably a typo. They might. I don't know. I mean,
I'll be right back. I'm just gonna grab my drink. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, George Pickens is in the last year of his contract, so maybe they do pay him. I would assume, if I'm George Pickens and I get traded, I'm looking for a deal right now. I'm looking for a deal before I play, to be honest. Before I even get on the field with Dallas, I'm looking for that deal. So, yeah, they may pay him first. Is that a slap to the face to Micah Parsons? I don't know. Maybe he would interpret it that way. It's an interesting conversation. I saw some rumblings that trade was going to happen last night, and I just didn't believe it. And then I mean, obviously it came to fruition. So yeah, we'll see in terms of like the contract, but it's interesting. I don't know. I think ultimately all I care about though is fantasy, and I think it's good, obviously, for fantasy football from the Dallas perspective. The Steelers are just in a, I don't really know what they're doing over there, but that's a conversation for another time. Steve, welcome in. I know you have a nice kind of Dataspace prepared for us today, so I'm excited to dive into that.
I do.
I also want to talk a little NHL.
Okay.
Just get your thoughts on the playoffs here. Ryan, you said reports Lazard to the Steelers. I don't know if that was true or not. I think it was kind of just be a joke, but I mean, if they act, I would assume it's like 80% that they're getting Aaron Rodgers. I don't really know what else their contingency plan would be. So, yeah, if they get Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure he'll be like bringing Randall Cobb or Alan Lazard along with him, just because he does that everywhere he goes, honestly. But Steve, what's your thoughts on the playoffs? Second round starting, Edmonton once again with a comeback to win. We had that crazy game over the weekend with the that was with, what was that, Sunday night Winnipeg? That was like one of the craziest things I've ever watched, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, like for any of those, so Steve Kenway lead the team at Rolling Insights, data feeds.
Actually, okay, but before you answer my question, give the chat, the faithful in here, because some of these people probably don't know who you are. So give us a little intro into who you are, because I've been bringing you on these streams. You're going to keep coming on the streams. So if you're going to be a recurring guest, give the people a little idea of who you are.
I know. And I kind of feel bad because I just like showed up out of nowhere. I was like, hey, I'm here. And no introduction. So I lead the team at Rolling Insights. My background is math and computer science. Built a bunch of different products in other industries. But my passion is sports. I played a lot of hockey growing up. Didn't play at the top tiers, but played very closely. And a bunch of guys that I played with and against growing up, they ended up playing in the NHL. So hockey is my passion. My profession is computer science. And so, a lot of what we're working on at Rolling Insights is a combination of that. Now we've got two great products. We've got Data Feeds by Rolling Insights, which is our pure data product, which powers companies' fantasy platforms. We've got AI modelers, people, content creators, websites. They're using our data and our collection to kind of power their platforms. And then we got SportWise by Rolling Insights, which is that same data, but then presented to you, the fans. And the idea behind it is it's supposed to replace those spreadsheets that you're using to manage your betting or manage your fantasy teams today, and allow you to kind of go in and without restrictions create a lot of different angles to look at sports. And then the data automatically refreshes every day, so you're not having to copy and paste into spreadsheets and do that stuff. And then the last thing is that you can then share those ideas and thoughts with our community, or you can share them out with your buddies. So if you're in your WhatsApp group chat talking about your teams, you can share that data space with them and say, here's my thoughts, or like, what do you think of these two players? Do you think I should trade, or whatever it might be? So and then next week, Ben, I'm hoping we can bring on kind of our first version of that kind of AI fantasy manager assistant and show it to folks. So we won't have enough time to go through it today, so I think we should do it next week. But little teaser for those in the pod, if you want to see something cool and give us some feedback on applying modern technology to kicking ass in fantasy sports and sports betting, tune in next week. Well, tune in today. Today's gonna be good too, but next week's good.
I'm pretty excited about that. I'm excited to show it off to people. I think it's gonna be really cool. But yeah, thank you for the introduction. And if you guys are out there watching, if you guys, I know there's a lot of people that are smart that watch this stream. So if you guys build anything on the side, if you guys are considering doing that, I just recorded a video with Josh, who leads the sales here on the data feed sides of things. And we did a little dive into the data feed side of the company and how you can, get a 30-day free access to our APIs and our data and stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, reach out to me. I don't know who all is watching this, but I know there's a lot of smart viewers out there that are, always experimenting with stuff. So, and you can go check the video out with Josh as well that I recorded that will be going up on our YouTube. But all right. So back to the playoffs though. What was your thoughts on that? I mean, craziest thing I've ever seen, and just you can give your thoughts. Yeah.
It was bananas. So, and again, I know I said this last week, and a lot of our North American Southern counterparts probably won't believe me, but if you're not a hockey fan, the NHL playoffs is the best in sports. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. So let's talk about Saturday night. You've got the Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche playing in Game 7. There's nothing better than winner take all one game final. And you have on the Dallas Stars, which for those that have been following, other podcasts that we've been kind of going through the season, Marty Nikash traded for Mikko Rantanen to the Carolina Hurricanes. Mikko Rantanen traded for Logan Stankoven and the Dallas Stars. Mikko Rantanen is on the arch rivals now from Colorado to the Dallas Stars. So that sets the stage for the story, the long-winded, movie that will eventually come out about this. Game 7, Colorado's up 2-0. The probability of coming back in Game 7s when you're down 2-0 is like less than 10% or something. It's crazy low. And then Mikko Rantanen, of all the people, has a hat trick in the third period to beat his old team. It was insane.
That's crazy.
And the crazy part is, so, obviously I've got a family, etc. I'm watching the game. I'm watching 2-0. I'm like, okay, I got some stuff to do. I got to run an errand. I don't care anymore. I'm just leaving. This is over. There's one period to play, 2-0. It's done. And then I'm getting text messages and WhatsApp groups. Like, people are going absolutely bananas. I'm driving in my car trying to find it on the radio.
That's funny.
It was crazy. That was like, so then you fast forward to Sunday.
Yeah, little did we know it was going to get even better.
St. Louis versus Winnipeg Jets. Again, remember what I just said about being up in Game 7s, like the probability of coming back. I think it was 2 minutes left. Was it 2 minutes left with the Jets were down by 2?
Yeah.
Goalie pulled. They score once. Okay. We're down by 1, pressing, but not really generating a ton of chances, but keeping the puck in the zone. And then the puck fumbles out to Nick Ehlers, who just came back from injury. Fans on it. Goes back to Adam Lowry. We're talking there's 5 seconds left. Ehlers snaps it over cross ice to Kyle Connors, who one-times a pass across to Cole Perfetti in the back of the net. It took 3.2 seconds to make that play. Extreme level of talent.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was insanity. Tying the game, sending it to overtime, and then Winnipeg just dominated in overtime.
They I don't even think they never even had. They didn't give up many chances in overtime. Like, it was just kind of like waiting for them to score. Did they say? I don't know if that's right or wrong. Did they say that was the latest goal in, like, to tie? I think. I don't think it was like the latest goal, but I think it was the latest goal to tie in like a Game 7 or something. I don't know.
Well, it has to be close because there's only 1.6 or 1.8 seconds. There's 1.6 seconds left when I looked at the clock, but then I think they added some more time back. And like in sports, I've been in that situation where someone ties it late and you think you've won essentially, and it's such an emotionally draining experience that the advantage goes for the team tying. They have all the momentum, and then the Jets took it to him, and then Adam Lowry, good old Calgary kid, playing for the Jets, captain, tipped in a Neil Pionk shot, and it was it. So for those Americans out there, to again set the stage, Four Nations Cup, Jordan Binnington versus Connor Hellebuck. Hellebuck plays for the Jets, Binnington for the Blues. Binnington has had Hellebuck's number. So finally, Hellebuck was able to beat Binnington.
Yeah, and I think what's so crazy about that game to me is, like, the question marks coming into the game were like the nerves of Hellebuck and like how he had played on the road and stuff like in that series. And then he gave up like a really easy goal right to start. Like it was just, I don't even know what he was doing. I'm not going to pretend I'm a hockey goalie, but I thought that was strange. And then they just looked like dead, and he had given up another goal. So I thought that was crazy because he played really well like down the stretch of the game and in overtime and stuff. But I just thought that
He
was
shut
crazy.
it down after that. He was great. But I think he'd been pulled twice in the series prior to that, and they were considering, in the broadcast they were talking about like should he get pulled again?
Yeah, right when I turned the game on, whoever was broadcasting the game was like, it was like right when the game started, he was like, if he gives up a couple easy ones to start, you got to just take him out. And then he did give up an easy one like right at the start of the game. I was like, oh my God, is he gonna get pulled?
Well, and the crazy part is he right now is the best goalie in the world. Like, so
Yeah,
to
that's
have the
why
best goalie in the world falter.
I saw people comparing him to Aaron Judge on the like great in the regular season, not good in the playoffs. But
Yeah,
I mean, we're dealing with extremely like small sample sizes here.
yeah, yeah, and the other thing that happens to goalies in hockey is a guy like him would play like 70 out of 82 games in a season. So when you get to the playoffs, and they want to play a lot, they want to be in the net every game. When you get to, and he played Four Nations, like you get to the end, and everything else raises up. As goalies, it gets really mentally fatiguing. One of the things just in beer league, talking with one of my buddies, a goalie, he's got a day job now. He's got to get up, go to, got a family, you got to go to work. And then that night he's got to play goalie. And I still play like relatively good hockey where guys can score. And even as a beer league goalie, the stress of that day, even though he's at work with his family, et cetera, mentally having to prepare for this beer league game where you can let in 4 or 5 because it's always going to be, more than 4 or 5 goals scored on either side. But just that stress of it. So I can only imagine what, Hellebuck and other goalies who play that much when they get to the playoffs, just how fatiguing it is. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds in the next series. Is this going to be the thing that gives him the confidence, that boost where he's the best goalie in the world? Or is he going to continue to play fatigued?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, we can lead that into what's your thoughts on the series going on now? Obviously, Jets Stars. That's game 1 tonight. We've seen one game from Florida Toronto. We've seen one game from Carolina Washington, and we've seen the one game from Edmonton and Vegas. So, what's your thoughts on these series? Do you have any like updated who you think is going to win the cup or anything like that?
Well, we'll just start with Winnipeg because we've been talking about it. I love the Jets. They're a Canadian team, and so there's a little bit of bias. My dad's from Winnipeg.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how does that work? Because I know when we do Sports Card Live with Jeremy, I don't know where he's from, but I know
Calgary too.
Yeah, because I know he said he was rooting for Winnipeg, so I didn't know like how that.
He must have grown up in Winnipeg because I saw him post a reaction video recording him during the time, and he was going bananas.
I'll have to go check that out. I didn't see that.
It's pretty good. It's funny because he's such a composed guy, and he's going bananas.
Yeah, I don't really see him in that light. That's funny.
So just one other, because he's like, oh, I think I woke up the kids when Cole Perfetti tipped it in to beat the buzzer. Like I just started screaming and clapping, and I was like, going crazy. Woke up all the kids in the house. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, this is nuts.
That was worthy of a screaming, I think. Definitely.
So, but I think they're going to be in tough. Like we've talked about all year long. I'm a big fan of Dallas. And I don't know if Robertson and Heiskanen are going to be coming back, but they get those two guys back. They've got a huge advantage. They've got the second best American goalie in Jake Ottinger. They've got great defense, great forwards. They just beat the Avs. Winnipeg's a great team. If Hellebuck does have that kind of boost in confidence, Jets have a good chance. But otherwise, I'm picking Dallas. As much as I hate to say it.
Yeah, let me see. Hold on. I'd be able to see the odds. Yeah, so Dallas is minus 178. favorites for the series. No shocker there. What about the other series here? I mean, Toronto with a big. I mean, they were underdogs in game one and pulled that out. Obviously, Edmonton came back, won last night as well.
Yeah, I think in kind of again on the bandwagon of the Jets and Leafs, like I will never cheer for the Oilers. But the yeah, just that's regional. I'm sure everyone gets it. But I think the Leafs, it'll be tough. Like this could be their year. They have a lot more kind of type of guys in the bottom of their lineup that can win Stanley Cups, and they obviously have elite top end guys. Now the thing is the Florida Panthers won the Cup last year and are a superior team. So the question is, this is always what happens. This is why it's so difficult to repeat in hockey. The seasons are so long and you play so far in the summer that they don't really get to repair when they get into the next season, and they start again and then they go. And so it's really difficult when you get, again, fatigue to this time of the year. Will Florida be able to kind of withstand the grueling playing every second night?
Yeah, I think that would be, from my perspective, a big question just because of the runs that they've went on the last few years. Like they've played a lot of hockey, especially last year. And I don't know, like, I mean, they handled Tampa pretty easy in that first series, but Tampa was pretty banged up. Like I don't really know how impressive of a victory, that is beating Tampa in that series. I mean, you can only play who's in front of you, but I mean, Vegas is like not respecting Toronto whatsoever. They were underdogs in game one. They won. They're underdogs again at home tonight. I think that's interesting, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I think I'm going to pick Toronto because I think Toronto eventually has to win. They have to learn how to win, and they're kind of at that age group where their superstars are learning to win. So I think that there's a good chance the Leafs could upset them here. And then to your point of the last series, that was an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah.
Like, those teams hate each other and just beat each other up.
Wow. Toronto's even money, even up a game, even money to win the series. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, that would be an interesting value bet because I think they got a really good shot to beat the Panthers, even though the Panthers are the Stanley Cup champs and are a better team.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of wear and tear on those treads.
Yeah, I might
Carolina,
jump in on
Washington.
that, to be honest. Yeah, so I mean, I was high on the Caps, but lost a close one last night. I don't know. What's your thoughts there?
I think that the Caps have been overachievers like that. They've essentially, that was their, if you look at their roster construction, it was find all these guys underperforming and then try to get them to perform. So is that real or not? They played against Montreal and they get hold on. Montreal is like a bunch of, really high potential kids running around. Now you're playing Rod Brind'Amour and the Carolina Hurricanes. This is a real hockey team. So I don't know. I pick, I'm high. Yeah, again, I'm remaining consistent. I'm high in Carolina. Rod Brind'Amour went to Notre Dame, my high school. Huge believer in him as a coach. They're scoring enough goals, so I think that they're going to be tough to beat. I don't think the Caps have a chance, actually.
I'm assuming Vegas would agree with that. I'll just check. Carolina minus 420 to win the series. Pretty big number there. And then, is it the Oilers' year? Can they keep doing this?
They're like what's a good analogy? I think I said the same thing last week, and I was like reluctant, but I'm going to use it. They're bipolar, and that's no offense to anyone who's suffering from that mental illness at home, but they're bipolar. Like you watch the game, they look brutal, and then all of a sudden, snap, turn it on, and then they look like
three goals in the third period. Like just it's crazy.
They have their backup goalie still playing and they're winning. Like he's won 5 straight.
Yeah, that is what's crazy to me. Because it's one thing if you put him in and like it's a flash in the pan, like you win a game or two. Like 5 in a row after that is crazy.
And it's not like oh, this is the next goalie in their organization who's going to take the reins. This is like a journeyman backup goalie that they got, who's serviceable, good goalie, has a good pedigree, but to save money. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. That series to me, like I still pick Vegas because Vegas, like top to bottom, is just a well constructed team. They won 2 years ago.
Hmm.
I think there's a definite chance that they could win it again this year. I
Yeah.
think that it will be Dallas and them in the conference finals.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we'll check in. We'll see a week from today when you come back on the stream. We'll see kind of how these series have progressed. Do you have? I mean, it sounds like you like Toronto, so I might dabble in on that to win the series at -110. A little interesting, just
I
to give
think
me
it's good
something to root
value at the
for.
very least.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not. This isn't a big unit bet here, but just looking for something. I need to have somebody to root for here on these
Yeah.
games. So, all right.
That, and just one other comment, I think that Vegas is probably baking in is just the Toronto curse. They haven't won a
Yeah.
cup since 1967, and
Yeah.
I went to school just down the road in Kingston. The place is just fanatical for hockey, and like the pressure of being a player in that market is unlike in any other sports market. So I think that's also what Vegas factors in. But have they've been there a bunch of times? They're starting to learn. Like at some point, one of these teams has to get a little bit further than the second round. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think they'll be able to handle the Panthers.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. This is completely off topic, but interesting news nugget that just hit here. Per Jeremy Fowler, George Pickens plans to play out his rookie contract and enter free agency in 2026. So, I don't know.
Hmm.
So Dallas just gave up a third-round pick to just have George Pickens for one season, I guess. I don't. This just already sounds like there's gonna be drama coming. Oh man.
But I
That is
always
funny.
wonder when guys come out and say that if they're already negotiating the next contract. Like they're
Yeah.
setting the thing like I'm not afraid to leave. Like you need to pay me top dollar because I'm not. And then
I don't.
we find out later that they signed and it's all just BS.
I don't see why you would give up a third rounder unless you're like. I took that as like they're going to extend him like soon.
Yeah,
So that's
there would have had to been
interesting.
some conversation beforehand to confirm that he's willing to stick around. But again, like it's all posturing and negotiations and most of this stuff, and then you find it's like go back to hockey. Jeremy Swayman last year. Oh, I'm not staying in Boston. Blah blah, and then they're bad mouthing each other in the media, and then they sign this long term deal, and they're all best friends again. They all love each other, and he's going to be there for 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Should be fun nonetheless. I mean, the NFL has no shortage of drama nowadays, man. There's always something going on.
Exactly. That's what my dad always said. He said Roger Goodell has one goal, and that's to have the NFL in the news 12 months of the year.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've done a great job at it. I mean, obviously the TV ratings and all that stuff speaks for themselves, but I mean, they've turned the NFL draft, with the changing of location and going to these different places, 600,000 total people, going to Lambeau Field over the course of 3 days for the NFL draft. Like they've turned that into an event. It's crazy. Just nothing can touch the NFL right now. It's crazy, but. All right, if you want to, so I know you want to show this Dataspace off, which I'm excited to look at too. If you want to we can do a quick check-in in our league though as well. So I'm making some headway here, Steve. I'm up to third place in our league here.
Yeah. I don't know. You want me to share the screen?
Yeah. Let me stop this and get you on there. But yeah, I made some moves. RT Sports, they were trying to hold me back though, Steve. I actually had to email the higher ups at RT Sports that wouldn't let me make any pickups.
Really?
Week. Yeah, so I had to email them to.
What was the issue?
I don't know. Every time I tried to add somebody, it said that I wasn't allowed to add injured players, even though these were not injured players I was attempting to add. So I didn't understand.
Oh, interesting.
But they fixed it. But yeah, we're up to third place now.
Yeah. You're climbing. That 6.5 week has really helped you.
Yeah.
Why don't we look at your team? I actually didn't. I've got the other Dataspace load up, so I won't pull up our league.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
But who did you pick up this week? Because I know I looked at the transaction log. You had a bunch of activity.
Yeah, so Zach Agnos from the Rockies I picked up. He had 2 saves in the last like week and a half. So hopefully, not that the Rockies are in a position to win very many games, but maybe if he can pick up 1 or 2 there every now and then, that could help out. Ben Kasparius, who we talked about on the stream on Monday a good bit, picked him up for the Dodgers. They've been using an opener in front of him, but he has 4. I think he has 4 wins this season. He's been actually really, really good. And they're super banged up. Glass now hurt and some of this other stuff. Snell hurt. So I was surprised nobody put a waiver claim on him, especially because he had 2 starts this week, Monday and then this weekend. So I picked him up. Something that, for me, Kyle Stowers was a big prospect for the Orioles, and he has been just dominating for the Miami Marlins. And I picked him up a few weeks ago, but that's helped carry over for me. I mean, he's been great.
It's funny because in my other league, I picked him up, and then I came in here and I was like, Ben's got him. I was like, of course.
I've had him for like a couple weeks. He's been on fire.
Yeah. It's funny because I picked him up in my other league, and then he was on the bench, and then he had some crazy, I can't remember the stat line was.
He hit 2 home runs in one game over the weekend. Yeah, I think.
I was like, man. It's funny, just to make a side note that I was thinking about it on that particular team. We don't need to get into who's on the team. I had a bad draft. There's a bunch of reasons for it. But one of the things that's interesting is I've done a really good job of picking guys up. The interesting downside of it is you find all these guys that are kind of, good value. You didn't expect them to kind of be good. And because they're not brand names, it becomes difficult as a manager to put the right people in the lineup. So I just never know who should I be putting in, who shouldn't I be putting in, and so I find there's so many instances where I'm leaving points on the bench. Like there's a good stat line because it's not obvious, it's not a brand name, it's not so just something to keep if you're at home. There is some value in having a brand name and it being very clear. This is my shortstop. I'm not questioning it. They're playing every single game or whatever the position is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely hard. It's hard to navigate that, but especially in like these leagues that we're in right here with 14 teams. I mean, even though it's thin and there's not people to pick up, like making that one wrong decision in a week can really, really affect things. Like,
yeah,
it's really, really hard to like overcome that. And I'm looking, so if I look at the standings of the league, I'm in 3rd place. I'm in second to last with saves and last in steals. That's the only reason I'm not in 1st or 2nd. I don't understand. I'm like top of the line in all of these offensive stats except for steals. I mean, 2nd best runs, most home runs, most RBIs, and then I just have no steals. And I don't really know how I can correct this, to be honest with you.
Well, so and I know we talked about it in the past, but like one of the things, these are kind of, runs has, runs are runs. Home run is kind of power. RBI, is often power. Average has a relationship between these two. Stolen bases is kind of out there. There's some batters obviously that are good at all of it and get stolen bases, etc. But it's kind of like a specialized category where, if you want to get the stolen base leaders, you're probably sacrificing some of these other categories potentially. Same with saves. You're not getting a whole bunch of wins. So if you had a bunch of guys getting saves, you're probably not top of the league in wins.
Yeah.
They don't get a lot of, they throw a lot of per 9 strikeouts, but they're not throwing, they're not in for a lot of innings. They're not getting actually a lot of Ks. And then ERA and WHIP, they have less, even though they have great numbers there, they have less influence because there's just not enough innings pitched. So it's tough. It's tough to be able to get the roster construction right, where you've got the right number of players weighted towards the right categories, to be able to kind of successfully be good in all of them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you're watching this and you're in the league and you're open to some trades, come my way. I need I need somebody that can get some steals.
Well, and hey, I'm in too. Like the funny part is, it's May 7th, not out of it. Um, this is reversed. Um, but being down in 11th, and I've had some stuff going in my life, so I've been able to like be as competitive on the waiver wire and managing my lineup accordingly. But it's really unlikely for me to win at this point. To catch in these categories, it's going to be tough. And that's the one thing I don't love about the season long.
Yeah. I feel like um I feel like in like head to head, it's easier to I don't want to say easier, but it's you're more you would still be in the mix even if you were in 11th place right now. Like you
Exactly.
could still easily win the league. But in
You-
rotisserie, it's kind of like it's hard to overcome that. I agree.
Yeah, you're in it for longer
Yeah,
in
definitely.
head to head. Because each week, like even in my other league, I had Strider, I have George Kirby. Both have hardly pitched. Those are my two keepers, two of my three, Trey Turner being the third. It's tough. It's tough to not have your top two pitchers playing and win. But when they come back, I could storm back, sneak into the final playoff spot
Mhm.
and go on a run in the playoffs. Because I don't think my team is that weak. I just think that I've got a lot of injuries.
Yeah, definitely.
Bit of a theme across both of my teams.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for us to get in like the NFL leagues, and we'll be able to dive into those this fall. That'll be fun. Honestly, like those drafts will be coming up soon. Like they start those drafts in like June.
Yeah, they
They always do them
did.
super early.
I was trying to remember.
Like they may
No,
do
that was
one
different.
at the. I'm assuming they'll do some at the summer conference that Josh and I are going to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then I was misremembering when we went to the fantasy football expo, but that was a different set of.
Mm-hmm.
Should we take a look at?
Let's look at the data space that you have.
Yeah, so just to give everyone a little bit of background, I'll pull this up. One of my theories in baseball is that you can kind of predict the outcome, who the starting pitcher is. Now, over the years, I would say that this has changed. It still remains true. And people will have their opinions in the comments, I'm sure. I can't see them right now. But the one thing that's interesting is that, as the number of times through the lineup has decreased, and so the number of innings pitched, there is more bullpen activity. But I think it still remains true that the starting pitchers are a great indicator to determine who's going to win or lose. So I went and constructed and built a Dataspace. And again, in sport-wise, that's one of the things that's really great about it, is that you can kind of come in and have this idea of, trying to find an advantage in the data. And then you can build it, since it's so flexible, and then have it as kind of a static thing that continues to update each week. So I did this last season, and I used it for two purposes. The first purpose was to understand on a weekly basis if I want to stream or churn pitchers. So I'll come in and look for 2-star pitchers, see their matchups, see who they're faced against, and then pick them up and stream them in my leagues. And then the second usage is just for pure betting. From a performance perspective, I'll use this to come in and pick some winners. And so normally what I'll do is I'll have this on one screen, I'll have Bet365 on the other screen, and I'm going through and trying to find some value where I see a mismatch between the pitchers that Vegas has not necessarily identified or given credit to, or the money's fallen in a different way. And one of the big ones that I find, and we'll get into some specifics of how this is built, is when you have an ace on a bad team versus the 4 or 5 on a good team. And Vegas will often still, weight heavily towards the good team, the favorite, the Dodgers, the Yankees, etc. And so often or not, like, we were just mentioning about, closers on bad teams. Well, the bad teams still win 60 games. They still win 70 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw your boy Housley got a save for you again the other night. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's about trying to find those 70 wins per those bad teams to get good value in those bets. So what I'll just explain, maybe I'll stop there. Ben, any questions before I get into how it's built?
No, but I mean, that's also a good point. I mean, if you look at the save leaders in the MLB, I mean, the top 5, Kyle Finnegan from Washington, Estevez from Kansas City, and Mason Miller from the A's. I mean, everyone knows Mason Miller's great, but I don't think people would have guessed that the A's, Nationals, and Royals were your 3 of the top 5 save leaders after like a month and a half of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And they're probably in closer games where the other teams who are really good have more blowouts.
Yeah.
So they're not save eligible, but yeah, exactly. It's not who you would think it would be. And these teams are still win games. So here's how it's built. So right now I've got it, a view that I've created that's filtered on this week. So starting on Monday until Sunday. And I have it ranked. So what I've done is I've created a kind of Z score composite across 4 statistical categories for each pitcher: WHIP, ERA, winning percentage, and then Ks per 9. And so I'll go through why I think each of these are important. Winning percentage is obviously the winning percentage of the pitcher, so they're more likely to win a game, but it's also indicates the winning percentage of that team, because pitchers that are on teams that win a lot, they get more wins. And so it kind of gives a little bit of a representation of team performance. ERA is not just a pitching stat. Obviously good pitchers have low ERAs, but it also means that there's a defense behind them that's not making that is able to make plays to kind of keep the ERA down. WHIP is directly related to pitching, and whether the pitcher puts himself in danger. And then Ks per 9 is, how efficient are they at getting people out? So that's why I've got these 4 stats that I've picked to create that Z score composite for that pitcher. And then I take the home and away and subtract them with each other, which then gives me a value. So, and it ranks from numbers that are above 0 are for home pitchers. And then ones that are below 0 means that the away pitcher is ranked higher. And in a bunch of cases, like these are like we don't have the
they're not, the starters aren't confirmed.
Starters haven't named yet. So, and I'm sure if I refresh this, it'll take a little while because there's a lot of data. Won't do it right now. Some of these would fill in because I think I did this on Monday. So there's starters have probably already been named. So you come in and you'll find some kind of interesting ones. Let's look at. Trying to find a good example here. I'm not trying to. There's none that are really popping off at me that I would have expected. Let's look at this one. So Jonathan Canyon, even though Michael Wacha is 165 years old, is statistically favored using this model over the Kansas City Royals. So I haven't looked at this game. The game happens tonight, but I suspect that the Royals are probably favored in this game.
Yeah, like sizably, like minus 200.
So this might be a really good one to go and place a bet on because Jonathan Canyon has, some decent statistics that outmatch Michael Wacha.
Yeah, and I mean, you could even like boil it down, like maybe, that could be a good spot for like a first 5 innings bet. You don't have to bet on the full game. Like something like that specifically is interesting to me when you find like a big underdog for the first 5 or something.
Exactly. And in some cases, it's even a good fantasy streaming option. You can kind of find some of these mismatches. I don't know, depending on the league, and if you get wins and you get points for wins, sometimes you can increase the chance of getting it. And he's still going to throw 7 strikes. He's going to 7 strikeouts, so he's get points for that. And so, yeah, I like your first 5 innings bet for a lot of these, anyways. Just because you don't know what happens when the bullpen comes in. Bullpens are obviously so good nowadays that, unless someone stumbles, they're normally pretty locked in, regardless of the team. Maybe except for the Jays a few years ago.
Yeah. There's a couple bad ones, but I don't know. It's case by case. Like, you have to look deeper at like who pitched the day before. There's a more nuance, I guess. The top one on the list was interesting to me a little bit, just because. So last night, Tyler Anderson, Jose Urena for the Blue Jays. That was actually really, really close spread. I think it was pretty much even odds, and the Angels did end up winning 8-3, and that was a big, obviously, differential there. The highest one overall so far.
Yeah. So anecdotal, but back testing it. That's what the data said: is pick the Angels, pick Tyler Anderson over Jose Urena.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy too, because okay, I see. I'm looking at the data wrong. Yeah, he said. I was like, never mind. Ignore me. He's pitched 33 innings. So yeah, it's a really it's an interesting way to look at the data. It is, again, sport-wise, is so configurable. Like, I know, we get some feedback from folks. They come in and they have a hard time finding value. You really need to invest in understanding how the tool works, but then you can build stuff like this. And then every time I come in to place a bet or I need to stream a pitcher, all I'm doing is changing the dates and refreshing the data, and boom, I've got it. And I've got this complex level analysis where I can go down and see, the actual stats and compare the pitchers. And it's I don't know. I love it because I was doing this on spreadsheets before, and it took me an incredible amount of time to do that.
Yeah, no, I think this is really, really interesting. Definitely something like I personally can pull this up on the streams too. Like moving forward when we're looking at some certain, first 5 spots, I do think it's applicable. I think it's very interesting.
There's a couple, like this one stands out to me. I wouldn't obviously, he's getting a lot of accolades for early in the season. Matthew Boyd's a bit of an old, but he's playing in the Cubs. Maybe that's what's swaying the results. I wouldn't have expected this to be.
Yeah, they did win that game handily, 9-2.
Yeah,
and Matthew Boyd had a great start. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it's just my own bias. Again, that's one of the reasons why I love data, is the data doesn't lie.
I can't figure out Matthew Boyd. Like, Matthew Boyd was really bad, and then he was great for a couple years for the Tigers, and then he was terrible again, like completely broken. And then the Guardians just rolled him out last year in the playoffs, and he had a good start for them in that opening series against the Tigers. And now he's okay again, I guess, for the Cubs. That guy's been all over the place in his career.
Yeah, someone would have to, pitchers and goalies. I don't understand the psyche or who's going to be good and bad. We can go and analyze Alek Manoah for the Jays. Looked like he was going to be the next best ace. And where is he today? I know he's injured, but.
So that was a couple years ago when he had that really bad playoff start. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was watching.
So what was that? The 2022 AL wild card, I believe, against the Mariners. Yeah, that sounds right. So I was kind of like an Alek Manoah hater. This was obviously before I ever met you. So I was always an Alek Manoah hater. And I'll never forget that I was today's the day we're going to get right on Alek Manoah. We're going to bet on Alek Manoah today. And I bet on him in that game. And I was at a brewery watching him serve up long balls to the Mariners. And I was like, wow, I really hate that guy. And I mean, he's pretty much been gone ever since. He hasn't done anything ever since then. But yeah, that was the one time I bet on him.
The next year he was the opening day starter and he got smoked. And then
Yeah, I think I bet against him that time.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. What do you think of Jack Leader?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his.
So am I, but he's had 2 bad starts recently.
Oh, look at his.
ERA's
He
been
has
high, his whip's been high.
4.58 ERA. 20% strikeouts is not good. Only 28% hard hit rate though. Let's take a look here. He might have like high batting average on balls in play, some like unlucky stuff. Let me see. Where's that at? I don't know why that's not. I might have to go on. I don't know. Are you a believer of some of those stats?
Yes, very much so.
Batting average on balls in play, I mean, is just anyone that would refute that is just dumb. Yeah, I mean 200. Like, so he's given up a 280 batting average on balls in play. That's not crazy high, but I guess it could be lower. I don't really know. I'd have to like dig into the starts and see. But I do like him. I'm kind of surprised he doesn't have better stats because he was kind of cruising for a while there. But yeah, a couple bad ones in a row.
Like 10-day stint on I think it was a blister or sore thumb or something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's been garbage since he came back.
Yeah,
so
that's interesting.
Like that's the other thing about pitchers is like that, they bounce off and on the IL. Like, how are they actually feeling?
Yeah, I would have to dive in and like look. That definitely could affected him like coming back from that though. And I mean, we talked about that a few weeks ago. Like, I think it was like, it might have been like the first time you came on the stream when we were talking about like Roki Sasaki really struggled his first 2 starts. And I told you like the balls are so much different in Major League Baseball. So that can affect guys getting blisters and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then even though they, it's like, I'm sure, everyone, if you're a hockey fan, you listen to the kind of post-series news conferences when the losing team comes out and they then disclose all the injuries. And I think it was Tampa. It was like they named 10 guys. It was like, this guy's playing with a broken leg, broken. It's funny because it just like going a little bit of a tangent here. I don't really like, are these guys that good that they're that much better, even when injured, than the next best professional who's ready to go? Like, my belief is, yeah, I know every player wants to play. I get it. But is he better than, the next left winger in your lineup who's 100% healthy? I don't think so. I think that's a mistake that teams make, trotting these guys out there, even if they're still injured. Get them healthy and then get them back out there 100%, and then their true potential. End rant.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I have no pushback for that.
And then we as fantasy players would be able to work with a transparent, clear deck of cards. I can't see the chat, but any questions?
Yeah, I think overall, I think this is really cool. Like, I'm excited to like use this myself.
Yeah, here's another one that was Bryce Miller of the Mariners. I have Severino in my other league. He got smoked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been up and down. We talked about him on stream the other day. He's been up and down as well this season.
In my other league, I'd say he's serviceable because he's probably my 4th or 5th pitcher. So I haven't been unhappy. That's kind of what you'd expect. And he hasn't really done any like permanent damage, like really, really bad starts.
Mm-hmm.
But he's had some good starts as well.
Yeah.
So, I think as a lower end pitcher, he's quite serviceable. And, I've always got that bias for the Athletics, as I mentioned in the past. I don't know why, but
yeah, that's a good team to have bias towards just because they've like, it's a good team to root for, I feel like.
Well, and I think that because they've been so starved of resources, that they actually do a pretty good job of like evaluating players. So they can't do it over 162 games to make it successful, but they're able to find some of that talent. Like I'm again, I know we talked about this past. I'm so curious to see what happens when they get into a real situation with real money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that going to spoil the talent pipeline, or is that going to turn them into like a perennial favorite?
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting conversation. I think it would be good to like have them be good though, especially once they're in Vegas. That would be cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah, it'd be a good place to go see a ball game and have a hot dog.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, overall, yeah, I think that was a good stream today. Thank you for showing that off, Steve. So I'll definitely be using that on the streams moving forward.
Oh, and I put it in the community. I'll just quickly share my screen and show everyone.
Yeah, you guys, if you're watching the stream, you can access that exact dataspace that he was just showing off. And if you want to play around with it yourself,
show you how to get to
you can do that.
So it's in the community. It's under Pitchers Head to Head here. You obviously see me. Yep. If you come in, you can clone it so you can add it, and then you can go in and play with it and change it and do whatever you want, continue to update it. So that's one of the beauties of it. When it's posted in the community, it's kind of yours to kind of take and own from that point forward. But I shared a bunch of other ones in there, so if anyone wants to go follow me, they can find my other thoughts. And if you disagree, hit me up on Twitter and we can argue about it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Always good for the conversation. All right, thank you guys for tuning in today. Pretty good viewership, hour and 20-minute stream. I'll be live tomorrow, same time, same place. We will review what went on today, talk about tomorrow. Working on my MLB power rankings too. So those, I'll bring those up on stream tomorrow. We'll talk about them and kind of see what we can take from that. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and see everybody tomorrow.
See everybody. Remember next week.
Yes.
Show you. So make sure you tune in.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
All righty.
All right. Thanks, see you guys.
Bye, everybody.